I'd like to call to order the East Chicago Common Council regular meeting set for Monday, August 24th, 6 p.m. If everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, roll call, please.
First District Councilwoman Monica Gonzalez. Here. Second District Councilman Lenny Francisci.
Present.
Third District Councilman Terrence Hill.
Here.
Fourth District Councilwoman Stacy Winfield.
Stacy.
Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orange.
Present.
Councilman at Large Dwayne Rancifer.
Present.
Councilman at Large Emiliano Perez.
Present.
Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe.
Kenny.
Council President Robert Garcia.
Present. Next thing on the agenda, clerk. We have a public hearing for ordinance 20-0016, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, additional appropriations, ordinance East Chicago Redevelopment, Community Development Block Grant Fund 2231-CFDA number 14-218. Somebody here to speak on it?
Good evening, Mr. President, Council members. I'm here to represent the Department of Redevelopment and asking all of you to go ahead and approve the budget that we have for 2020. The budget is inclined to put all the programs that we've been doing throughout the entire city, and each one of the districts have benefited from the program, and I'm hoping that we can have it approved to move forward with it.
This is a hearing for the block grant. Can you speak specific to the block grant?
Yeah, the block grant is a community development block grant. It's a grant designed for us to be providing services to the community as a whole, to do different various parts of the program, like repairing housing, rehabbing inside, outside housing, allocating dollars for properties to purchase and do things of that nature so that we can look at the economic development process and increasing our ability to make home stock more valuable as we keep growing. We also do ramps. We do all kind of different other programs. We do the Sunnyside program, which is the facade program. Many of you have heard about that program as well. And it just allows us to do all kind of different things for us in order for this community to continue to grow. And that's what the development block grant does.
I asked my fellow councilman, either you guys could have some questions now, if you want to answer questions when we entertain the,
Just got one question.
if you want to, in case you want to entertain any questions when they bring the ordinance up to be read.
Oh, I want to ask. Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, Frank, did I overhear you saying that you all assist in doing ramps?
Yes.
Possibly for seniors?
Yes.
Because I have someone in my district and in my precinct that needs one. She's a senior, can't get around, so I'll talk to you.
Yeah, talk to me and we'll have her apply.
Thank you very much.
And then that way we can get something for that person.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
two appropriation ordinances that are set for public hearing
Yes.
that the council president just convened. The first one, 2016, is additional appropriation of $665,000 under the category Other Services and Charges. That's an appropriation of CDBG block grant funds. The other one, ordinance 20-17, is an additional appropriation of over $787,000. Broke down in two parts, $20,000 for personal services and $767,000 for other services and charges. It would be helpful if you could explain, since that's what the council is being called on to vote, please explain exactly what those funds are going to be used for if they're appropriated by the council.
Just for clarity, right now, the public hearing is on ordinance 20-0016. So let's keep to that one. So
Well, then that would be the additional appropriation, Mr. President and Frank, for $665,000.
yes.
All the money.
No, I don't have that.
Mr. President, can I ask if you all can use the mic for recording purposes?
Okay.
John, she's referring to you, John.
Okay. These other particular services are based on rehabbing, it's a part of the rehabbing program. Sometimes these services can overextend itself, so then we make sure that we appropriate this amount of money in order for us to be prepared to do more rehabbing in terms of that, and that's what other services can entail. There are other services that can be very complicated for us to be coordinating our efforts to touch on all those things. But that's usually what it is for rehabbing. We can only specifically use it for rehabbing.
Are you done with that portion of the public hearing for 20-0016? Anybody for or against the public hearing for ordinance 20-0016? Anybody for? Anybody against? Hearing none. Takes us to our next public hearing for ordinance 20-0017, which is an additional appropriation ordinance, East Chicago Redevelopment, Community Development Block Grant, CARES Act.
Thank you, Mr. President. On this one, it's a very interesting program. We are now initiating ourselves with HUD in terms of peer-to-peer training, where we've had to have a numerous amount of discussion on how we wanted to be able to look at $5 billion that the national government is providing for all the CDBG CARES Act dollars being expended. $2 billion have been appropriated and allocated for the units of government, both local and state. The state is requiring all of us to be able to allocate these funds and distribute it by September 30th, 2020. And what I mean by disperse is we'll be dispersing it over to our service providers. And in that disbursement, they have not given us a definite date as to when we have to expend all the money. But eventually, there will be some new guidelines coming out to stress those points. But in the process, we had the plan. And in that plan, we had to look at what services will we be able to give to the community. And so we've at least included, because there's eligible criteria that HUD has that says that we would do short-term emergency financial assistance for rent, for mortgage and utilities, legal support for those who are tenants facing evictions. So we've concentrated our efforts in that area in terms of where we want to appropriate our dollars to expend it to the service providers and to give this community what they long deserve in terms of this COVID-19, which, you know, all of us are going and facing this pandemic. In that process, there's a consolidated plan. And that consolidated plan, which is part of our CDG formula, it's a 5-year plan that says this is the direction that we as a community want to go. And in those 5 years is what they call an annual plan, where I can change things as I'm going. But I only could change it with us in mind as to where our economic process is going. And usually that's something that we do internally and externally with you, with all of you as our common council. Now, the thing is that in this process, it's all data-driven. It's all local jurisdiction in terms of affordable housing and community development needs and market conditions. All of that stems for this COVID dollar to be expended. Out of that $2 billion, the state of Indiana is giving us like $789,000, for us to expend. And it's a good thing to have in order for us to do so. I would ask the council, if it was possible, if we can expedite this process and kind of leap forward in terms of, us getting this past the first reading and going into a second maybe, perhaps, because September 30th is a short period. There's meetings that you're having and meetings that my
Excuse me, Frank, this is a public hearing. This is pertaining to the ordinance. When we entertain that ordinance, then you can speak on it.
Okay, not a problem, but I just am excited about this because this is the first time we've ever had this, and it's an additional appropriation, so.
Any questions? Yes, Attorney Buscemi?
From a legal standpoint,
Uh-huh.
you explained to the council this ordinance 20-0017.
Excuse me, Mr. Buscemi, it's a hard time for Vivian to pick you up. If you could
Come to
get
the
near
mic.
a mic, please.
Not that one.
You explained to the council that the department has a September 30 deadline to allocate funding to the providers.
To disperse it,
Yeah, that doesn't mean you've got a September 30 deadline to
No.
spend money,
no.
all right? And on the sheet that the council members received for this ordinance, it lists public services including rent, mortgage, and utility assistance, $737,698.
Mhm.
Please tell the council members who are the providers that your department plans to allocate those funds to provide those three categories of assistance.
Well, there have to be a process that we would have to go out and bid for those particulars. Like, for instance, we're looking at currently, right now, like an example, what are they called? The food one. I can't recall
Food
that.
pantry?
No, not the food pantry, the other one, the Meals on Wheels. That's one of the examples. In this category, we have the ability to choose who we need to based on what we're going to process out for them to then provide us information that they can provide those services and what those services will be. And once we get that, then we can actually start providing them the dollars.
You don't have any providers selected at this time?
No, not at this time. I got to bid it out.
Also, I have a question. Do you have a breakdown what's going to be used for rent, what's going to be used for food, and so forth?
No, HUD would probably give us those criteria. Right now, we don't have those criteria. Right now, it's mostly planning stages.
Gotcha.
And we're trying to plan to go forward. Like most other cities, if you contact the other cities, they're telling you the same thing. They're planning.
So,
Any questions?
Yes.
Yes, Ms.
I
Gonzalez?
understand you have the plan, but you're asking us to approve some money that you don't have a plan for yet.
No, the plan's designed around HUD. We're facilitating that with you now in order for us to get to the next levels. Without your support, then these monies go away. We will not have these dollars at all.
Let me ask, now, the definition of this CARES Act fund, does it specifically go to redevelopment, or can it go to another entity within the city? Or are you the
No,
person in
it's-
charge of the entity, of where it goes to?
It's designated as CDBG, and that's our department, which is Community Development and Block Grants. There are two categories here that we're separating. One, formula grant, and then this grant here. So we can't mix apples with oranges, because then you're going to have a hard time trying to track all the invoices and everything of that nature.
The only thing that I'm questioning is, I hear what you're saying, but I don't see any of it. You know what I mean? I would have liked to see, like, could go to Meals on Wheels. This is gonna go here. This is, you know what I mean? Some kind of breakdown of where it might go, instead of just saying other services. I just, and that's on both of them. But that's me.
Any other questions?
Yes, this is Gilda.
Yes, Ms. Orange?
I just have a comment, for, some of the council members that may not know, what's going on with that CARE Act. That CARE Act is like helter-skelter from the state. They give you some parameters of what you can do with the money, and now we're dealing with that right now in Ingram Township. They give it to you, they say, what is your need? You send it back, showing them what the need is, and they tell you for sure if you can use that money. So it's not like, you can just pick and choose that I'm gonna give Meals on Wheels $50 and I'm gonna give somebody else $50. The state has that process through the CARE Act, they, like, for us, they let us have so much for NIPSCO. Once that NIPSCO dollars were ended, they said, okay, you could use the other 500 for food. They have it specifically done for what you need. And there's a lot of people getting CARE Act money. It's just not redevelopment. Catholic Family Services has got money. They have money from the homeless shelters and everything. That money kind of was just given out to shelter and saying, hey, what you gonna do with it? If you don't use it, it's gone. And so it's not an easy process, because like I said, we deal with it at the township right now.
Right. And that's where the structure comes into play. You're trying to give structure to the state so that the state can say, yes, we see where you want to go.
Any other questions? Yeah, my question is that you had to submit something to the state, correct? And that's why they approved you?
No, we're waiting for this right here, and then we can start submitting. I can't go further without this being approved.
Okay, do you have an amount of $700-some thousand, correct?
$187,698 they appropriated to us.
Okay, what's that based on?
That's based on some formula that HUD has.
Okay.
I couldn't even tell you what the formula is.
Is that based on the population?
I can't even tell you.
Probably at risk.
Low income, I know some of it's like 50,000 population-wise in terms of the city numbers and things of that nature, and then they broke it out and said, okay, this is how much money you're going to get. I just care about $787,000. That's all I care about.
Any other questions from the council? Hearing none, public hearing portion is over. Anybody for or against ordinance 20-0017? Anybody for or against? Closed. Minutes in the meeting. Vivian, you can take a seat.
Regular
Mr.
regular
Rivera, you can take
meeting
a seat.
Monday, July 27th, 2020.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Gonzalez, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Councilman Hill. Any questions? Hearing no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Yes.
Franciski, Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Any communications from the mayor?
No.
Any communication from department heads?
Yes. Accounts payable warrant 080620CC, 080720CC, 082420CC, and 082420LA.
Is there a motion on the floor?
So move, Mr. President.
Moved by Councilman Franciski,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Any questions? Hearing no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Payroll warrant biweekly 080720.
Is there a motion on the floor?
So move.
Moved by Councilman Franciski. A second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hill. Any questions? Hearing no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Any committee reports? Any board reports? Takes us into ordinance and first reading, clerk.
Ordinance 20-0014, an ordinance fixing salaries of elected officials of the city of East Chicago, Indiana for the year 2021.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion made by Councilman Franciski. Is there a second?
Second.
second by Councilman Hill. Any questions on the matter? Mr. Dolan, can you take? Yeah. Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Can you explain the ordinance, please?
Well, I can explain to you that every single year you have an ordinance put in front of you for the elected officials, and then you have a second ordinance which will come up next for the employees that are not elected. And then a third ordinance will be looked at for the wages for police and fire, which is a separate action by this body. This in front of you is the elected officials. It has the mayor, the council, the clerk, and the judge. My recommendation would be that between now and third reading that your attorney review Section 3 to make sure that it meets the little fracas we had this year over whether you could use your travel and education dollars. That is reflected in Section 3. You adopted some amending language. We should make sure that it's been inserted correctly by your attorney, or he should make sure that it's been inserted correctly by the administration. And then I would just make a point that the first sentence under Section 1 has just a small typo that should say 2021 instead of 2020.
Steve, you just got a question. Just want to make sure that, make it clear to everyone, there's no raises or none of that type in this ordinance.
I'm not going to tell you that I have multiplied these times the amount that are paid to each of the elected officials. I have not been alerted by the administration that there will be any raises, but I will confirm that between now and final reading. We always do go through both this ordinance and the employee ordinance to confirm that there are no raises that were not mentioned to you.
Any other questions? Any questions from council members? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Next ordinance.
Ordinance 20-0015, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, an ordinance fixing salaries of appointed officers and employees of the City of East Chicago, Indiana, for the year 2021.
Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilman Ransford. Any questions on the matter? Steve?
Mr. President, it would be my preference, if you don't mind, that you have the mayor's representative speak to any changes that exist in this proposal from the mayor on salaries. I will make note that you have requested as a council that you be allowed to hire a full-time chief of staff next year. I do not see your council chief of staff called out as a separate employee in this ordinance, and you may want to amend it to reflect such.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, President Garcia and council members.
Good evening.
I'm Laura Corpus. I'm the Director of Human Resources. The ordinance that we presented to you, it has no changes in it from the one that was presented for 2020.
Okay, so no new positions, no raises whatsoever?
No.
Any of my fellow council, any questions, Councilman?
I have a question,
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes, Ms. Winfield.
We have a park ranger, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
We do not.
Do we have a park ranger?
No, it was proposed, but we have no park ranger at this time.
Did you hear that, Ms. Winfield?
Could you hear?
Can you repeat that, Ms. Winfield?
I said because I did see it listed, a park ranger, and is that something in the near future that you're planning on getting? Because I know it's been for a while.
There had been discussion about a park ranger, and that was going to be an employee, but there have been different decisions on that, and we're thinking that it will be like a security guard we have for the contracted.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Orange.
Okay, so Steve Dalton, can you come back to the podium?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you mentioned just a few minutes ago that the council had decided to have a chief of staff. I have not heard of that, nor has anybody consulted me on having a chief of staff. And so where did that come about and who decided it, since they say the council agreed upon it?
I think that's a fair wording I'll take back. The council president and the council finance chair have submitted the budget on behalf of the council, as has been done many years in the past. And in that budget is reflected a chief of staff for the council. So you're right. I shouldn't have spoken on behalf of the whole council.
Okay, so to me, that if that is something that is going to be decided or has been decided, not two people should be the one deciding it, it should be the whole council. And that's a discussion that we should have if that is a necessary appointment to have a chief of staff. I don't even know what the chief of staff of the council would be doing, since probably in the whole state of Indiana, nobody has one. And so I'm not sure why we weren't consulted to say, because if you're going to present something on the behalf of the council, it has to be a consensus of the council, not just two people saying, you can present a budget, but not when you're adding things in and saying that the whole council is agreeing on it.
So I will agree with you that the council should take this under advisement, Council Lady Orange, and that process would be part of this amendment that I just mentioned as a possibility, and also the budget which could be cut. The budget that is proposed by the department head, the council president, can be cut by this full body, and a majority of this body can cut its own budget or any line item in the budget that will be presented by the mayor. So it will come up multiple times within the next 2 months with opportunities to add or delete the title or the budgeted amount.
Yes, just to
I'm
add,
just saying, if they're going to say the whole council, then we all should be consulted, not just two people presenting something and feeling that's the way it's going to be.
I understand your request for that type of protocol. That was not the instructions I was given, and in past years, you may recall, the finance chair just submitted a budget to the controller that resembled the previous year's budget, which resembled the previous year's budget, and in this year's budget, there are some changes, substantial changes.
Councilwoman Orange, yeah, that was something that the Finance Committee was going to bring up during discussions for the budget, so it was not that somebody was passing anybody by or not consenting with anybody, but the Finance Committee was going to present that to the council.
But when were you going to present it? Because it sounds like it's already been going, it's going in to be heard from the budget. I guess you send it to Val or whoever you send it to.
Correct.
So when were you going to discuss it with the council?
Like I said, the Finance Committee was going to set up a meeting with the rest of the council to discuss it.
I can speak to that if I may.
Councilman Perez?
Yeah, that was a position the Finance Committee agreed on submitting to the council president. It was someone that would handle the needs of the city council on a full-time basis. And that is something that would have been discussed when the city council's budget came up for a vote. I did not anticipate that the city council's budget would come up for a vote today. I don't think that is what's happening. But that would have been the time to discuss whether or not the full council wanted the position or not. Could have been struck at that time if it so chose.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Council Attorney Buscemi has also let me know that the title is not necessarily stuck in stone. The title could necessarily be administrator, chief of staff, secretary. So I apologize if I used a too specific title.
Yes, Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Steve, Mr. Johnson, when would be the appropriate time to amend that ordinance then, if we wanted that included? Would it be?
It's my understanding, and I'll let Mr. Buscemi speak if I say this wrong, that you as a council have the opportunity to amend now, because you've done first and second reading, and you haven't taken a vote yet, or you could amend at third and final reading. Once it's been motioned and seconded, you could amend to do so at any point in time before adoption. Is that the right way to say that, Mr. Buscemi?
I concur, but the position, if the council desires Mr. President and members of the council, if the position is desired by the council, the ordinance should be amended to explicitly state the position and whatever salary range it is. So I concur with Steve's comment.
Either at this reading or at the next reading.
Anytime before final passage of the ordinance.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Hill?
Where would this person be housed at?
I think that, I don't want to speak on behalf of the whole council because Councilwoman Orange has already told me that's a bad idea, but I think that this council had in the past some office space here and may make a request to the administration for similar office space in the building.
Any other questions?
In the past, excuse me, yeah, I have one more. Okay, now,
Councilman Hill?
so they have office space. I know in other cities, some council members have an office. And I inquired about that, and they told me they didn't have any office space. Because the rest of the councils, they work. Right now, I'm not working, so I could utilize my time in the office and so I can service my community more effectively and efficiently if I had office, if they plan on getting an office for somebody else. That's just coming from me.
Points taken.
Councilwoman Orange?
Yeah, and as I said, this should have been collective body. It may have been an idea, but that's an idea that should have been taken in consideration of the other members of this council before it was presented or sent to the mayor for the decision. And now asking us, we don't even know what this person is supposed to be doing, and I think you're just going down the wrong path. And just to do things because you think you can do them and everything. The last time this all happened, where people just thought they could do what the council president did, it's called Sidewalk 6, and people went to jail for that. You guys cannot just do anything you want to and just leave the rest of the council out. You didn't even have the courtesy to call and say, hey, this is what we're thinking about. But then you guys are going to present it at the budget and then say, well, you got a chance to amend it beforehand. When we haven't even discussed, don't even know what this person is supposed to be doing. If we're going to have office space, where is it going to be? How much is it going to cost? Or anything like that. And you guys are going off on that. And like I said, I've never seen a financial advisor or an attorney go to prison. They always advise, we are the last straw. You guys, the newer people, you guys, let's take this into advisement that we are not just two people belonging to this council. It's all of us. And if we're going to make a decision of that magnitude, then we need to be talking about it. Just like they had the finance meeting, then we should have had a meeting separately to say, hey, this is what we would like to do. And everything, but no, not just to consult us and then bring it to us. You're doing exactly what you say the mayor's doing all the time, is bring us up at the last minute and telling you that this is the way it's going to be. I think it's wrong. And it's no respect for the rest of the council. And you just figure that you can just do anything you want to do. And that is just absolutely positively wrong.
All right, just to state, nothing was brought. Oh, yes, hold on. If you could hold on, Mr. Perez. Nothing was brought forward. The Finance Committee was going to have a meeting with the rest of the council, so the administration never even told us that they was going to put this ordinance on because it could have been discussed with the Finance Committee, so shame on them because this could have been discussed. We've been trying to get a meeting with them. They won't even meet with me, so nothing was been put forward. The Finance Committee is going to talk to the rest of the council on this, so nobody has been bypassed or not communicated to. There's nobody trying to run this this council. That Finance Committee gave me a product that they all agreed on, and I took it forward. Councilman Perez.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that that is exactly right. I did not know that this was going to become an issue tonight. I did not anticipate that position going public until the whole council had an opportunity to hear what the thoughts were behind it. I understand Steve did it in full disclosure and trying to amend the salary ordinance for the appointed people, I think that we would have, at least my thought was, that if it passed, we would have made an amendment to the salary position and put it in at that time. So while Ms. Orange, I see what you see, and that it looks like we were going around the council. That was not the case. You've known me, I've been here since July of 2017. I'm not afraid to bring up what I believe is needed for us to work for, or whatever I believe to be right. So this was no backhanded theory like that. The only reason this has become an issue is because Steve Dalton brought it up as amending it to the salary ordinance, which I personally think is premature until the budget passes, until we have the position. You can't put something into the salary ordinance and create a new position that you haven't yet obtained through a vote. So I just think that things got mixed up here. I see how it looks to you, but please, as chairman of the finance committee, know that we've been transparent. We have chosen to add the things that we added, and we are going to be talking to the whole council about it. Once again, the only reason this came up is because Steve Dalton brought it up as an amendment to the appointed ordinance. And I personally happen to believe it's premature, but it came up. It's not a big deal. It ain't no big secret. But we will be meeting about that and the other things that we changed on the budget at the appropriate time.
Yes, Attorney Bushimi.
Mr. President and members of the council, this is just a reminder for the council members. Most of the council members are aware of this, and I know Steve is aware of it. There's plenty of time to discuss this particular issue and this particular need that's been expressed by the council, because by law, the employee salary ordinance does not have to be passed until November 1.
Councilman Franciski.
Yeah, first, let's just say shame on Steve, but, I haven't heard anything about it too. I'm kind of hit in the face with it, but I just think that, if Councilman Perez, as far as the financial, and this is something that we really need to talk about. I mean, I thought we already have some secretaries, and now you want to bring in a chief of staff, so that's something we need to discuss before we do anything further.
Just to clarify, Councilman Franciski, it's not a chief of staff. I think it was just a
Well, whatever he
full-time
called
secretary.
it, that's what he called it.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, then he corrected
Okay,
himself.
all right.
Councilwoman Orange.
Yes, and then my last thought is this. They already think that we are greediest council in the state of Indiana. We must be careful about what we do here, because we are a second-class city, and they will be looking at us down the road to say, you don't need as many council people as you have, or you don't need the council at large as they combine, just like they did the school board. And they didn't do it for everybody, they did it for the Lake County. So I'm just saying, be careful about what you do, because even we are having a conversation now with the mayor. I may not agree with everything that the mayor does or everything that he says, but one thing for sure, we're going to be looked at as a council. I've always said this time and time again, when people go to complain, they never go to the mayor's office, they come straight to the council. When people look at us and see that we are doing things that they can look back and see other councils did that got themselves in trouble, we had better be careful. And we should not be going down that path. And even though Councilman Perez said they've been transparent, it couldn't have been transparent if we are just now finding this out. And like I said, we got plenty of time to talk about it, but I just don't like that. That's the reason why I had asked Attorney Bushimi about putting in a resolution saying that nobody could talk to this council unless all 9 members agree, because to send something forward to a budget, if it wasn't a routine budget that was sent back from the last year and no changes, that's one thing. But when you made changes, automatically the council should have been consulted.
Any other questions?
Just to state, nobody's did nothing wrong, nobody's going to jail. I think it's just a scare tactic. We are following the law, we are following this. I got the floor, Councilwoman. But I got the floor, Councilwoman. Nobody's going to jail, nobody's broke the law. Ms. Orange, you cannot continue disrupting. I'll let you talk, you let me talk. Nobody has broke the law. The process is what it is. He will have a finance committee meeting and we'll go forward. Any other questions? Hearing no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Abstain.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
No.
Rancifer, Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Next ordinance.
Ordinance 20-0016, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriation ordinance, East Chicago Redevelopment Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Fund 0231-CFDA, number 14-21A.
Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved on first and second reading.
Can you repeat that again? It was broken up on Councilwoman Orange. Councilwoman Orange.
So moved on first and second reading.
Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilman Hill. Any questions? Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Mr. Rivera, can you come up here and explain exactly what's going on with this? Give us an explanation, other than others, just give me what's going on with this.
This is your regular appropriated budget that you've always approved in terms of rehabs.
That we've
That's what that
always
is.
approved. Well, can you just be a little more specific?
I can only be as specific as I was. You have different types of rehab pieces here. You have the housing rehab, you have the ramps, you got different types of programs to fix things. Roof programs, because there's different types of roofing programs that we have too. So it's just basically your average to do rehab program. That's all it is.
The average to do rehab, that's how you're.
That's all we're doing. It's just
that's
an
how you're-
average
that's-
rehab.
That's what it's called, the average to do rehabs?
No, it's an average of the process of doing rehabs. That's all that is.
Okay, what are the programs called?
The programs is called CDBG, Community
And
Development
those
Block
are the
Grant.
programs that the city calls them?
No, that's what HUD calls them,
What do we call them?
Housing Urban Development. We don't call them anything different.
So this is for ordinance 0016.
Right.
So then then let me ask this. What's the difference between the two? There's two ordinances on here.
One is designed for the Community Development Block Grant, and the other one is the Community Development Block Grant with COVID CARES Act added to it. That's what that is.
Just to mention, Frank, this is reference to block grant. This is not your budget. Your budget is in the city budget. So this is not part of your budget. This is the block grant.
This is the
Correct.
HUD Block Grant dollars.
Correct. So, yeah.
But we
I
still
just
got
wanted
to
to
get it
clarify that
allocated.
because you said it was part of, you told Councilwoman Gonzalez regular budget. So this is the block grant.
This is a block grant budget.
Any other questions? Hearing no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez,
No.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
No.
Monroe,
Yes.
Garcia.
No. Next ordinance.
Ordinance 20-0017, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriation ordinance, East Chicago Redevelopment Community Development Block Grant CARES Act, CDBG-CV Fund 0231-CFDA number 14-2218.
Is there a motion?
So move on the first and second
So
reading.
moved on first and second.
Motion made by Councilman Hill, second by Councilwoman Orange. Any questions? Hearing no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez,
No.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
No.
Monroe,
Yes.
Garcia.
No. Any ordinance on second reading?
No.
Any ordinance on third reading?
Yes, ordinance 20-0013, sponsor Councilman Terrence Hill, an ordinance prohibiting the use of groundwater as a potable water supply by the installation or use of potable water supply wells or by any other means.
Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved, Mr. President.
Motion made by Councilman Hill. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Orange. Any questions on ordinance 20-0013? Hearing no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Any resolutions?
No resolution.
Bring us into old business. Any old business, council? One thing I want to bring up, I know there was a opening on the Economic Development Board. Clerk, can you tell us who won that spot?
Ezel Foster.
Ezel Foster, can you please send him a letter, let him know he was, he won the nomination?
Yes.
Also, any other questions? No business, just old business I want to bring up is just budget. Steve, have you heard anything in reference to budget?
I have not.
Nothing, no feedback, no whatsoever. All right, thank you. Bring us into new business. Any new business? One thing I want to state, I know the IDOT got a hold of me today. The tracks here by City Hall, they will start working on them. They couldn't give me a specific date because the railroad haven't given them a date, but the railroad tracks here by City Hall will be worked on. Also, the state has started wanting to repave Columbus Drive. Between Euclid and Main Street, it's already been paved, but from Main Street to the roundabout is going to repave, and then also from Euclid all the way to Indianapolis Boulevard is going to be repaved. So just want to mention that. Also, I want to remind my fellow council members that we have an executive meeting tomorrow at the East Chicago Library at 5:30. Any other new business? You have any public expression?
No.
Let me wait to see if somebody online might have public expression. Nobody, Ryan? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Franciski, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Any questions on the matter? Roll call.
Gonzalez. Yes. Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe, Garcia.
Yes, meeting adjourned.